like to make movies back then and what it's like to make movies today. All right, we're in the green room, guys. We're backstage. We're getting ready to go live. You guys are part of the show. As soon as Lovey gets his background and John Duffy gets his background, we'll go. This is an experiment. This is fun.
Yeah, I'm failing this one, man.
You got to take John. It's okay. We'll get you through tech class next week.
Nice.
You guys take
Want
your time.
everyone's mic to be muted?
Yep. Everyone mute your mics except for RC and John. If you want to be quiet, it's up to you. John, you want to first AD this?
How much money you got?
Soon I'm gonna have a lot.
Hey,
But-
Tony,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll go back to the other one, my other skin until the Hollywood Minute, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I just want you guys to know what we're doing here. So, no, you're in the wrong one, RC.
Oh. Sorry. There it is.
All right, perfect. Okay, so we're pretty set to get ready to go here, everybody. Ken is our technician. You guys give everybody Ken a big round of applause. He's been killing Shredded Lens. He is creating as we speak. He's been creating in his sleep. He built this monster that I get to sell, and I'm very grateful. So we're going to get things going here. Lovey, I got to get you out of that room, bro.
I'm working on it right now.
Just at least take that one off. So
Download. Yeah.
you just got to at least take it off. Do you know what? There you go. All right. If you figure it out, cool. And we'll call on you. And John, if you figure it out, great. We'll give you guys something to do during the show. All right. We're getting ready to go live here. Carol, come back. Okay. Here we go. You guys welcome. This is a new experiment for the Hollywood Review. It's an old show we're bringing back. It's the new improved Hollywood Review with Tony Boley, RC Everbeck, run and produced by Ken Greenwood. All right, Shredded Lens Studios. You guys ready? I don't know if this is going to work. Jim, do you want to play? Do you want one of the skins? Jim, do you want a skin?
Somebody's waiting to get into the studio.
All right, we'll let him in right now. I'm going to drop the skin in one more time, and then we're going to go. And we're just going to go with it. Like the show must go on. We don't know what's going to happen, but we'll edit it. We'll fix all the mistakes. And if you guys want to applaud, you can. But I do have canned applause, so you don't have to. But if you want to, turn your microphone on for the. Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see. It's an experiment. I don't know what's going to happen. So everybody, if you want to play. One last time, the skin is in your chat. If you don't, that's okay as well.
If you don't know what a skin is, it's the background that's behind everybody on the Zoom right now.
That is correct. I would like to get a couple more. That would be great, but we'll.
There you go, Lovey. Good job.
I'm on the road to Nashville right now. I'm not going to be there till 5 in the morning. I would love to play them.
All right, Ken, please, or Tim, please don't interrupt. Thank you. Here we go. All right, we are recording, guys. Anything that happens from here on out, we're recording, so please respect that who's on stage and who's talking. I love you all. If I'm hard, I'm in my first AD head, and I need to get into my hosting head, but I'm going to turn it over to Ken. You're now in charge of tech. I will do all the transitions. All you have to do. Exactly. All right, here we go. You guys ready for a fun show? All right, here we go. So I'm going to start with this, and let's see if this works. And I can't screen share, Ken.
Why not?
Because you have to let me. Oh, somebody has to stop screen sharing.
Somebody sharing.
Okay, no worries. All right, so you guys can see this? Everyone can see this, Ken?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's start with just a little, we'll just start with this for fun. Here we go.
Shining bright.
Second one.
The new Hollywood Review is live tonight with Tony Boley shining bright, featuring stories fresh and new. The Hollywood Minute with RC2, brought to
Live, getting ready to go live. The Hollywood Review. I'm Tony Bolton. We've got RC up next to my co-host. We've got Ken in the green room. Excited to have you guys part about the show. Let's get things started. All right, here we go with the opening. If I can move this quicker and go. Yeah, so that's a fun little AI thing that we're experimenting with and we're playing around again. We're going to edit all this stuff together and we're going to make a fun little show, but you know, a little hybrid of AI and real stuff. Again, you guys see us playing around with the skins in the background. Those of you that want to ask questions from our guests can ask questions. Today our guest is Dr. John Callis. I don't know if it's doctor, but he's a doctor to me. So we're happy to have you here. We're going to do a little banter with RC and I. So Ken, if you want to spotlight RC and I, we have a little chat here. And we'll talk about what we used to do and what we're attempting to do here. RC, how you doing?
I am doing great. How are you, Tony?
I'm good, man.
Back on the Hollywood Review.
I know. It feels good, right? Like a warm bath.
Yeah. You know, Tony, and for those of you who don't know, Tony and I did the Hollywood Review on Sunset or Hollywood Boulevard with the stars out front, and for a year or so. And we have guests on, and it was, you know, not as virtual as it was now. It was pre-podcast. So before all these podcasts and things had happened, we were doing this. And then who knew it was going to break out into the industry it is today? But Tony had the idea, and he kicked it off, and he was ahead of the curve.
Well, hopefully we're doing that again. So you saw the little AI thing that we did. Larry built that for us, and you see DJ Echo in the background. So we're going to expand on all this stuff later, but there's just a little teaser of what's coming up. So I know you're going to do the Hollywood Minute. Do you want to just jump into that, and then we can go into the interview with John, or you want to do John Callis and then the Hollywood Minute?
Well, let's kick the Hollywood Minute in a second, but in the spirit of us having been on Hollywood Boulevard with the stars right out front, this year's inductees in the 2026 Hall of Fame who got stars are Miley Cyrus, Timothy Chalamet, Demi Moore, Chalamet, and Josh Groban. So those are our new inductees. You can go see their stars on the Hollywood Boulevard.
All right, sounds good.
Hollywood Minute?
Oh, listen to that. What do we got? That's the Hollywood Minute, RC. You got a minute to give us today's headlines in Hollywood. Go. All right, stop watching.
These will go 1 minute at a time. First and foremost headline is Josh D'Amaro is the new CEO of Disney. Now, a fun fact about Josh, he's from the town of Medfield, Massachusetts, where Disney flew in on an airplane. It was also the name of the high schools for the grain that wore tennis shoes and things like that. It was a fictitious town, except for it did exist. However, what you might not know is that I'm from Medfield, Massachusetts. So Josh was 2 grades below me.
All right, that's your minute. Moving on. Next, Netflix is still trying to get Warner Brothers, but they have a 7-day grace period for Paramount to move in. Now, for us in the Hollywood world, it's better for Paramount because it's more of a studio system. And that's the argument. They're really worried about the Department of Justice with the antitrust. So keep your eyes posted on that. It will change Hollywood quite a bit. Not as much as AI. Moving on.
Okay. Upcoming movie releases. We've got The Mandalorian with Grogu. That's coming out 2 theaters. The Odyssey with Matt Damon, Christopher Nolan's new 7mm IMAX. Spider-Man is coming back with Tom Holland for its 3rd installment, and Robert Downey Jr. is coming back for Avengers Doomsday. So,
all right, that's a little sample of what we're going to expand on. We're going to work on that, and so that's the Hollywood Review Minute section. All right, well, let's get into John Callis. Let's do a little backstory. Did you do your deep dive on John? You always do, but I can tell you what I know about Mr. Callis.
Why don't you go ahead with this one, Tony? I've been talking for...
Yeah, so John, I knew as the first AD on one of my projects, but he had already started directing and writing. He created the TriStar logo, the flying horse, the Pegasus, and he did it back when you used plates and everything was practical. No AI, no CGI. He built it from scratch. So he's going to talk about how he did that and how much money he spent on that. Then he went into working in the studio system, and he spent a lot of people's money creating some amazing stuff that we're familiar with, worked with a lot of great people. We can go as far back as George Burns. I showed you guys that, the photo. Howie Mandel. I mean, the list goes on and on of the slips he got to work with. He's very humble, so I'll help him actually name drop. So why don't we just put our hands together for a super producer, super director, super friend of mine, Mr. John Callis. All right, let's spotlight John and myself, Ken. Thank you so much. Thank you, RC, for the Hollywood Minute. All right, Mr. Callis, let's get you in here. There we go. So how are you, sir? You enjoying the rain?
I like it actually. We and in California, obviously, we need the rain, so it's good.
Cool, cool, cool. So tell us a little bit about how you got into Hollywood, the history, and then you're still currently producing and writing and directing. What it's like, what it was like then, and what it's like now to deal with all these, new ways of making films. Still, the heartbeat is still the same, but just share your backstory. You can go. I won't interrupt if you want for a half hour or 15, or we can banter. It's entirely up to you.
Well, if I told you the whole story how I got in, it'd be probably about a 2 hour conversation.
Well, why don't I
So,
give you 15 minutes uninterrupted, and we'll just spotlight you, and you just share with us whatever you'd like to share.
well,
I can if you want.
it's not easy getting into Hollywood. So I was very lucky. I met a guy while I was doing my master's degree in directing at Occidental College, and we became friends. And he took me on a set where I was introduced to a special effects guy, and I spent a better part of a year or so working in special effects, blowing up cars and killing people and throat cuts and all sorts of fun stuff. And then I transitioned into the art department where I met a director who asked me if I wanted to be a dialogue director because I had mentioned that the actors were not consistent with their dialogue and dialects. So that went really well. And then I got an AD job, assistant director job with him on his next feature. And to be honest with you, I had no idea what an AD did. So I called the crew together and I said, look, guys and gals, I have no clue what I'm doing and I need your help. And they all kind of looked around and said, you're asking for help? I said, yeah, why? I said, no AD has ever done that. So it was really a smart move to be open to them. And they actually gave me a lot of guidance. Um, I ran into a DP. The guy's name was David Lewis, who he and I became really close friends and we ping pong jobs off each other. And then it went dry for about 8 months where I was a waiter. And then another production manager came in and said, what are you doing as a waiter? I said, it's tough right now. And I got a job as a prop master. And then from there, I started working in music television, MTV, and I did the first go-go satellite feed. And then I became a really well-known guy in the MTV arena. Then I was asked to go to Russia to do a documentary on the Cold War. Uh, and then it just started going from there. I started writing, I had a lot of influence by a really good writer, David again, and just decided that I wanted to focus entirely on directing and writing. And I did a lot of trailers, one of which was the TriStar logo. After doing several of the big name directing type of trailers with Ransom, A Few Good Men, uh, Dennis the Menace, Golden Child, and it went on and on and on. So I became pretty much an expert in a lot of that area. And as Tony mentioned, at the time there was no such thing as digital or CGI per se. It was just starting to come out. So when I got introduced to all of the senior people at Sony TriStar Pictures, the guy was very adamant saying that every element in this picture has to be real. And he looked, he says, how are you going to do it? I said, well, better find a flying horse first. And of course, that cracked everyone up because you're not going to find a flying horse. And he said, all right, so what can you do? What's it going to be? And I said, look, I can sit here and BS you. And the truth is, I don't know. It's a very complicated thing you're asking for. You want it shot in 70 millimeter and 35 millimeter and all these other versions. Um, and it's a tough sell. And he was really appreciative that I didn't try and BS him. And I got back to him with all the specs and how it was going to be put together. And the production ran at over $1 million just for the production part of it. And it took a long time because there were elements that we weren't really clear how to do, and we had to do some experimenting. I think we built an 80 by 100 foot backdrop just with clouds and blue sky, and then we built a truss that was about 80 feet long and about 16 or 20 feet tall, which were all the clouds. And so we started doing composites, and we had over 100 elements of different colors to create the illusion of sunrise. And then we had the challenge of running a horse about 100 yards towards camera while the camera was coming down. So it gave the illusion that the horse was coming up. So I had to talk the airport into letting me dig a hole to put the camera and dolly in the hole so we go down to ground level. So there were a lot of challenges like that. One of the other challenges was to figure out how this horse was going to run on cement. So I found a guy in Vermont that dealt with shoes for horses, and I spoke, and he sent me a couple of pairs, and we tried that, and it worked. Now the trick is the guy with the board said when we walk down the 100 yards and I turn around, that horse is going to run straight to camera again because the idea with an Appaloosa is to have their mate next to camera and he'll just run right towards there. And I said, well, how are we going to stop this horse on a mark? And he said, what you do is you put a piece of black velvet in front of the camera, and when the horse gets close enough, he's going to stop thinking it's the Grand Canyon. So that went off, and then they said, well, we want more muscular tone. How do we do that? So I hired a makeup artist that came in and literally put makeup on the horse's chest. So when he moved, the shadowing would accentuate all of his muscles. And then we got into post. And we hired a company called Rhythm and Hues, who was just starting to experiment with CGI. And they created algorithms so that the feathers would bend with whatever wind and all that we wanted. Put the whole thing together, presented to the studios, and I got a call from the guy who had hired me and said, the studio said that we did everything perfectly except they don't like it yet. I said, well, what's the yet? So they want little clouds to come, to separate with his feet. So we had to build a big box and get dry ice and fog and everything and run down with a flag so it would separate. And then we composited that in, and that became the TriStar logo.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow, that's a great story, John. And I've heard some of that. I haven't heard all of that though. So, how did you get tasked that job? Like, what did you do to have to work your? I mean, that's from not knowing how to AD to having what, a $3 million 10 seconds or something.
No, it was about $1 million.
$1 million. Well,
Well, it took a lot of years of being an expert in the field, being known, developing a reputation. I had done tons of music videos, commercials, as I mentioned, a documentary. I pioneered a lot of things that are kind of common today. For example, I was asked to do the Styx concert, and they wanted to shoot it in film. And you can't run across a stage during a live concert and do a clapper to mark the sound and audio. So I had to figure out how to do that, which I did. And we shot over 1 million feet of film, and it was a big success. Got a call from Film Roman, who did Bobby's World, which I wound up doing 80 episodes and getting an Emmy nomination for. And they called me and said, we understand you're kind of an expert at figuring out problems. I said, I am. And they said, well, we wanted to marry like live action with animation. And I smiled and I said, you know what we did? I said, yeah, you did it wrong. You did it backwards. You did the animation first, right? And he said, yeah, can it be fixed? And I said, yeah, of course. It's just going to cost money and that's it. So at the end of the day shoot, I handed in all the film. They got it developed. And then I got a call from the owner saying the editors wanted me to tell you they love you because it seemed seamlessly went together. And then from there, I did 80 episodes of Bobby's World with Howie Mandel. So all of those things started preceding me in terms of this guy will figure out anything. And that's how I wound up doing teaser trailers for all the shows I had mentioned. And then the teasers went into the logo.
well, that's amazing. So, RC being the co-host, do you have any questions for our guest?
Yeah, what was it like being nominated for a daytime Emmy? It's not like the Emmys at night, but it's like a really big deal. Like, how did you feel when that happened?
Well, when I was told I was nominated, I was thrilled. And then when I found out I was up against Steven Spielberg, I started screaming at the TV, Steven, you got enough awards. Let me win, will you? And that didn't work out. So, truthfully, I was thrilled to death. I mean, it was a pinnacle in my career, having come into Hollywood, not knowing a single person, no contacts, and be able to get to the point where you have an Emmy nomination. To me, it was thrilling.
And that went into 80 episodes, so that's past the 60 that you really kind of need for syndication. What was it, 7 years or so? How many? Did you go into syndication?
Oh, it went straight in. It was Fox's #1 show.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, that's like the big mark, getting past that 5 year mark. But Bobby's show, that was I mean Bobby's World, that was shoot, that was a lot of years. And Howie Mandel, how was he to work with? That's a good question.
He was fantastic. I know a lot of people say he's, germophobic and all this, but he was fine with me. I mean, one day he came up, he said, "Hey, I got a little problem with time. Can we squeeze this in a little bit?" And so I talked to the crew, and yeah, they did. So we got him out in time, and he was real appreciative. Um, Very cooperative guy. Always asked me, "How am I doing? What am I doing? Do I need to look this way, that way?" So he wasn't a diva at all. He's quite a nice guy.
All right. Well, we're going to go to a commercial break, pay our bills. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're clear for now. Any tightening up we want to do, RC and Ken? We'll tighten this up and we can edit some stuff together. We're getting some good stuff that we can cut together, guys. Again, this is just a dress rehearsal. John, how you feeling? You enjoying the process?
Very much so.
All right. RC, anything you want to do differently?
No, I think it's going really well. John, try to have some fun. You look, I mean, we're really, really happy to have you here, and your stories are fantastic. You really have a captive audience. So enjoy yourself. I'm going to ask you about The Hills That Have Eyes, The Hills Have Eyes 2. I'm going to ask you about No Solicitors and Eric Roberts, just so they can be in your head. And then I'm going to swing one past you just to kind of get you laughing to begin with, okay?
And we're also going to go to the guests here in a second. And Dan, yes, we would love to hear from everybody. If it's on the show, you have to have the skin background. If you want to ask questions now at break, you can do it now. So Dan, do you have a question right now? It won't make the show because you don't have the background. Or maybe you do and I'm mistaken. I'm sorry.
I had
Dan?
the background is backwards.
Oh,
I
my
think
God.
that's
Let's
right.
wait for the show, Dan. Wait for the show. Yes, I do want you to participate. If you don't have a skin, you can ask questions now. But I would love your questions to make the show. Okay, so we're
I'll be patient.
You're awesome. You're going to be the first guest we call, by the way, so you're first in line. You guys, thank you for participating. We're really excited. We're really happy, and it's just an experiment. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we'll see. So far, it's fun. Ken, any comments? Anything you want me to do differently?
Look, going good so far, I think.
All right, we're coming back. All right, we're back at 5, 4. All right, RC, we're back.
Yeah, you do.
The new and improved. How you feeling? You having fun?
Excellent. I'm doing excellent. I love that break. Got to stretch a little bit, flex my legs.
Feel good.
But I'm really enjoying our conversation with John Callis. It's really nice to kick the new and improved off with such an engaging guest.
All right, well, let's go back to John. I think you had a question for him, RC.
I got a few. John, I'm not going to ask you about the Happy Hooker Goes to Hollywood. Your one of your early films, but I am an Eric Roberts fan, and I was just wondering, you did No Solicitors. How was working with Eric Roberts on that?
He the first day he asked me to come into his dressing room, and I thought we were going to get into a big conversation about the story and all that. And he said, "You want some food? There's just too much food here. You guys are treating me really well." And from there on, it was just very easy. I mean, he would look at me once and he'd shake it. I'd say, "Yeah, you're doing great. Keep going exactly where you're going." And, it was a little weird before I got on the set because I was thinking, how do you direct a guy who's been an Academy Award nominee? And so I pulled everything I could out of my toolbox in my brain and just relaxed with it and realized he's an actor. He's there to do a job. He's going to bring a lot of valuable assets to the table that I wouldn't have thought of.
Right.
And so one day we were talking, and I realized how bright this man really is. Eric is really a smart guy, and he had a lot of insights, and he loved to play with the crew. I mean, when the clapper would come down, he'd stick his finger in so it couldn't snap and stuff. And it was just fun being around the guy.
So, John, I know I was on that set with you a couple times, but why don't you tell us how you came up with the idea for that movie?
No Solicitors. Yeah, that's fantastic, fantastic concept.
Well, thank you. I have a sign over my door that says "No Solicitor," and real estate agents and everyone would ring the bell, and I would just say, "Can't you read English? I want to be left alone." So I go to Warner Brothers one day to have lunch with a buddy, and he says, "You seem a little off. What's going on?" And I told him, and he said, "So they bug you?" And I said, "Yeah, they do, and I don't want it." He said, "Why don't you write a horror movie and kill them?" Okay, so I
So
went back
this
and I
is a
thought,
product of your imagination, is what I was getting at. So,
yeah, and my wife often wonders where my mind wanders off the
right.
reservation
So
to come up with
does
these
anybody come
ideas.
over for dinner anymore without being a little nervous?
Well, they won't come over if I say we're going to have ribs. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. So you
So,
guys have to
so
see the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, there is some stuff that we're referencing right now. You have to be in the know. So, John, it's such a pleasure. Why don't we go to the audience, RC, and ask some questions from them? So let's see. Put your hand up. You guys hit the hand up button, and we'll call on you. Dan, let's bring Dan in. Ken, if you can bring Dan in.
Yeah, John, I'm very impressed by your career. You look like you could be Carol O'Connor's stunt double. Um,
okay.
a little bit. And RC, I stepped away. Was that a true story that you drew the TriStar logo?
I did not. John Callis developed that thing for
Oh,
$1 million before CGI.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is my first time to be invited to something by Tony, who I met at Jennifer Hutchins' AEB meetup a week ago, which was well attended. And I'll tell you, I'm impressed so far, Tony. You've got some real credible people here. And this kind of fits with my vision. It was in Texas Monthly Magazine last month. Woody Harrelson spoke to the Texas legislature, and now Texas is going to create tax breaks and film incentives to be on par with New Mexico and Louisiana. So Woody's prediction is that Hollywood is moving to Austin, Texas. So there's a lot going on here. But if this is a dress rehearsal, I could, in terms of shredded lens, which seems to be kind of cutting edge in the technology you're embracing, that seems like at some point that locations are going to be virtualized. There's going to be actors from a dozen different locations all coming together in a single scene, even though they might be hundreds of miles apart. So we'll get there someday.
John, why don't you speak to that actually? Because you're coming from old school Hollywood, and things are changing at a rapid rate. So why don't you address that a little bit?
Real quickly before you address that, this is where we're headed, guys. All right.
That's you.
That is me, but it's not me, but it is me. It is not me, but it is me. That's where we're headed. So yeah, we won't need actors, hosts. We won't need musicians. But the thing is, what Ken and I are doing at Shredded Lens with RC is we're actually using that as previs. We're building a previs. I'm going to go sell this show to an investor, and we're using all this. We're going to hybrid it with technology, AI, with practical. But we're not going to, maybe on YouTube or TikTok, we might air the AI version. But it helps us get there quicker, get the money quicker. But you saw that pretty much looks like me. And this is this is a new technology coming out. There's another version coming out in a month. You won't know if I'm right now an AI bot or not. I mean, that's where we're headed. So the question is, where is the morality in all this? Where is our jobs for actors? That'll be another discussion we'll have with Ken. Ken's working on some technology with Jurgen to be able to protect us so that we know what's what, and we're going to see the ingredients in the soup can. We also have a technology that can take the salt out of the soup, and we'll get into all that with Ken in a minute. But let's go back to old school making TriStar logo and what you guys just witnessed as the avatar me on my own talk show. So John and RC, you guys want to address that? And thank you, Dan, for your question. Let's go to
one last feedback, Tony.
Yes,
you had some sound effects you were triggering. You made like a shutter sound, but there was this like Model T Auga sound. It was too annoying and long. So
we'll pull that out. We'll actually in post.
Yeah,
We're just throwing things together last minute, and it's just a placeholder because when we go into post, we'll put the real sound in. So it's just a.
Yeah, just make it a short, pleasing chime sound.
You don't want to have a heart attack on my show? I take your note.
I miss a
take your
phone.
note. I appreciate that. All right, let's go to the question, John and RC.
John, I'll ask again. In fact, I'll make it a little bit more pointed. So as you can see, a lot of things are being eliminated. And in the old school, you had to do everything practically, pretty much, or in camera. What do you see surviving the AI revolution? What do you see like making it through? What creative elements or pieces will be essential that you just can't get rid of it, or it won't be a movie? What's your thoughts on that?
It's a lot to unpack, and it's a very long conversation. I would say that first you have to understand it's a new technology. So there's still things that are developing, and some things will fall on its face, and other things will become embraced. So as a filmmaker from the old school, I had to learn different technology with digital cameras and all that. When I shot No Solicitors in digital, I was so impressed with it that I'll never go back to film. It's just too complicated, too cumbersome, and too expensive too, even though digital is getting expensive as well.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of pitfalls with AI that we fight with the guilds and all that, especially Screen Actors Guild, where they wanted to scan their image and then be able to use it. And that was a big no. So I guess the studio's next step would be, okay, if you don't want us to scan you, we'll create our own avatars that look real, feel real, and act like human beings and start making movies that way. The downside to the AI part of that is that you're going to lose the human element, in my opinion, especially in screenwriting. If you start telling it, here's an idea, write a script, what you're going to wind up with is starting out with a beautiful thoroughbred and winding up with a two-hump camel, because everything's going to start sounding, looking, and feeling the same. You can't replace the human condition in any technology. Now, can you speed up the process of budgeting and scheduling and breakdown? Sure. And at that point, you're using the tool, it's not using you. And if you get to the point where it's all up in the air, the studios will crumble. And they'll soon find out that kids that are 12 years old can do it far better than any of us because they grew up with that technology embedded in their brains. I mean, they come out and they're already texting, hey, I was just born. How are you doing? So you got to be careful of what you embrace in this technology. A lot of it's fantastic. Somebody said you could do virtual backgrounds. That's happening already. I can set people in Vietnam by putting foreground pieces in so that they walk around it, but the background's all this jungle and everything. And I think that stuff is really good to have. We used to be able to do it with rear screen projecting, but nowhere's near to the efficiency and technology visual that's happening now with AI. So there are elements that I think will survive, and I think other elements won't survive.
When Tony, you're familiar with James Cameron, and one thing that really happened after James Cameron brought the Avatar, which it was an explosion. It was like color or talkies. I mean, it was a big deal, but everybody suddenly was doing 3D, and it wasn't appropriate. And then it settled, and then the tool got used. And do you feel like that we're going through that phase where everybody's just, we have to do the next Tom Cruise Brad Pitt fight on that Sea Dance did on top of that on that building? I mean, do you feel like will settle in, but right now it's just going to be explosion that we have to weather?
All right, we're going to come back after a commercial break and answer that question. All right, guys, we'll be right back. All right, we're clear. I'm just trying to get segment breaks, RC. So we'll come back. Any comments from the gallery?
Yeah, it's going well. I guess, I think we'll critique ourselves with our pitfalls.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is just a test.
Yeah. So we'll just keep going and we'll review the tape. That's how it is. It's looking at dailies, right? And see what worked and what didn't.
Okay. All right. So you remember the question? You can rephrase it when we come back from commercial break, and then we'll go back to that question. I know Carol had a question, but I don't see Carol. Are you here still, Carol?
Yes.
All right. So you'll be next up in the question line. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So here we go, guys. Thanks for
And John, we can go quick on that one. I mean, you covered it really. It was just a thought.
Yeah, and again, think late night television, drunk, high people coming from the bars, wanting just quick little sound bites. So we'll just kind of pick up the pace a little bit. Here we go, coming back from the break. By the way, these are some songs that Ken and I and Larry did. All right, we're coming back, guys. In 5, 4, 3. All right, we're back. We're back from the break. RC, so you were asking John a really important question. If you want to continue.
Yeah, the question was, or the statement was, that when 3D came out, like color and talkies, it was a big deal, and AI is doing that right now. But it's settled. How do you see the future of AI with film, working as a tool as opposed to the star player coming up in the future?
I think you just said it. It's got to be a tool. You cited Avatar. I watched Avatar too, and at the end, I thought, beautiful. They did great, colors and all of this. But I kept waiting for what's the story about. And that's where AI is going to start having problems. If you do the sizzle, you're not going to get the steak. James Cameron is very talented. I don't take anything away from his filmmaking, especially his career. But Avatar to me was nothing, to be honest with you. And
Well,
to
then you
spend
haven't
that
seen
kind
the
of
third one because it's fantastic. It has a story, and that's really, really great. And I think maybe he heard comments like yours, where the first one was revolutionary, the second one was just about the 3D, but then got back to the story making, and that's kind of where that question was headed. Yeah.
well, I think that's a good answer for it. I think it will settle. It
Sounds
will
good.
settle.
Let's go to Carol. Carol, you had a question?
Yes, John, I'm glad to meet you because I've loved your Pegasus ever since I was shorter. I have. I thought the first time I saw it, I thought the horse, I said the horse is going to jump off the screen. I'm not kidding. Little did I know that it wore makeup, which makes me very happy. But I just want to know what year was that when it first came out? I have no reference.
I think it
Ballpark.
was 1995.
Was it? It was 95. Okay, I thought it was a little bit before then. Okay, thank you and best of luck and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
You're
Appreciate it.
We have
welcome.
John Callis has a question. Mr. Not Callis, John Duffy. John Duffy has a question.
Yes, hey, greetings, John. A pleasure. I just finished line producing a feature that was done all on LED wall, a Shakespearean opera. So there's that technology. Then a friend of mine just came out with a feature film on AI, which so all this is moving really fast. But my question, I guess, off the side, and I agree with you about the human nature 100%. How does this begin the battle with the unions, which are in negotiations with the studios over AI? It's going to be a big issue for the unions. How does that work itself out in this next phase, in your opinion?
Well, in my opinion, I think the unions have to fight the fight and the studios have to start thinking about what they're doing. For example, they wanted to have every extra atmosphere person be scanned and then they could use their face and body at their whim. And they said, no, no, we're not going to do that because that means I can wind up in a pornography. Now, I'm not saying the studios would do that, but without their permission. And I kept thinking, you're missing the point, studio. If an actor did give you, and they didn't want to pay any more money, by the way, one
Of course.
time and that's it. So I'm thinking they're not being smart because if a studio said, I'd like to scan your image and use it in other films, will not use your image or your voice unless we sign off on an agreement for that specific film, and we will pay you the scale you would have gotten as if you were there. And then the studios would come back and say, well, what do I benefit? Well, you don't have to feed them. You don't have to clothe them. They're not on set. There's no overtime. And it's a payout and it's done. It simplifies everything. So if you start taking apart what elements are workable and not hurt the human beings that are trying to make a living, then it's a win-win. So does that kind of answer your question, John?
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, I think, and that's the thing is how does it become a win-win and not hurt the individuals? And you're right, that's a solution to that problem. And hopefully, because at the end of the day, both we want human storytelling, but we also want to protect the humans who the creators and the participants. So I agree.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah, there are a lot of agencies, if you submit a script, want to know if AI was involved in it. And if it was,
We
they
have
don't
some
want to take it.
we have some cool technology that Ken and you're going to working on that whenever they're ready to share, we'll be able to let them know basically the blueprint or the ingredients in the soup can. So we are working on that to be a responsible AI film company. We do it for previs and we do it for CGI, ACGI. So we are 100% in favor of the actor and the director, producer, the sets, all the people. So I know Vance had a question. He was having trouble with his raising of hand. But Vance, why don't you ask the next question? Then we'll go to Janice. And anybody else, please raise your hand.
Hey, John, I was looking at your book, Secrets, and I was wondering if you were going to be making that into a film more current, or do you want to stick it with the same Nazi regime?
Well, I wrote the screenplay to it, and then I handed it over to a friend of mine who did a lot of Oliver Stone movies, and he called. He goes, "The hell did you write here? It's $150 million," and he hung up. I
That's how I
called him
write.
back and said, I said, "What?" He goes, "Think about what you've written here. It's a great story, but it's going to be an expensive one." So I put it aside for the last X amount of years, and now that the screen's coming up and you can do virtual stuff and create things that you don't have to physically build, that
Oh.
I think the budget can come down to a reasonable budget now. So there's another place AI is very valuable.
Sounds
I
great.
like the concept. It's got a great concept. It's something. It's in the realm of what I do. Tony can explain more about that, but yeah, I really like it.
Sounds
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you for your question, Vance. Let's go to Janice. We're going to get the question section out of the way. We're going to get back to the interview section. We've got some more surprises for you guys, so make sure you stick around. And some commercials we're going to show that we actually shot, Ken and I shot. All right, Janice, and then we'll go to Monty. Your question, please.
All right. Hi. It was really nice listening to you. It's funny, I was working at Columbia TriStar in 1995 over in the Sony building. And I remember that logo when I must have been, there when it came out. It was fantastic. It was like totally mind blowing. So you really, you were a groundbreaker with that, still doing it without CGI. And I love that you were involved in MTV videos. I was just obsessed with MTV videos and when they started doing CGI. And do you remember Limelight Studios?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was like doing the dive in there. I wanted to work at one of those places so bad because I mean, music videos were the bomb. And Peter Gabriel, all those videos were so much fun. They were so creative. And now it's kind of sad that now you can just tell ChatGPT what you want and it'll just spit it back at you without having to cobble it together with people, that I don't know how that's gonna pan out. And I wanted to ask you, Rhythm and Hughes, was that the studio that did Babe, the movie Babe?
I don't know.
You don't know. You know what movie I mean, right, though?
Yeah, of course, but I don't
Okay.
know. I think Rhythm and Hughes went out of business. I think they overstretched and eventually couldn't keep up with it.
Because that was one of the first films where they had the talking animals that really looked so amazing. It's a great movie. I still love that movie. But
thank you, Janice, for your question. We're going to go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
I hope you're making a lot of money with these commercial breaks.
Oh, you have no idea, John. You have no idea. We're filling holes so we can sell these blocks, which we've not sold yet. But that's the goal. That is definitely the goal. So, any comments, questions? Monty, you're next. Ken, thank you for doing all the switching. You kind of got wrangled into that. I appreciate you. Let's hear it for Ken, who's controlling in the control room there. Very happy. And RC, you're killing it. John, thank you so much. We're going to come back with questions. I'm going to play a little sample of some video, a music video, and what the technology is doing today, and then we can reference that. The topic today is old school Hollywood versus today's Hollywood, and we can talk about the dichotomy of both, what we like, what we don't like, but that's the main theme of all of this, just so you guys know. All right, we're going to come back from commercial break. Any comments? Anybody want to see it pick up the pace? Are we good?
Janice. Babe or Babe Pig in the City? Which? Just kidding.
Babe.
Okay.
All right, guys, we're coming back. Fun, light, fast. And Natalie, I want you to ask a question. I want to have you included in the show. She has her own podcast, you guys. She's going to do it for us at South by Southwest. She's throwing the South by Southwest So when she comes on, I'll introduce who she is and what we're doing with South by Southwest. You can talk about that. But Natalie, I just want to introduce you to the world. So, okay, coming back.
I came here with a suitcase, a guitar, and a dream.
All right, we're back in 5, 4. All right, we're back, RC, with the new improved Hollywood.
Welcome back.
How's it feel to be back in the hot seat?
Fantastic.
So we've got some great questions, great guests. We got John Callis here with us. We're really excited to have him. He's been in Hollywood a long time. He's only 21. I don't know how he has so much credits, but age is but a number on New Jersey, right, RC?
It is, in fact.
We got a show that we're working on with RC, playing football at 56, going to be 57 years old. Professional. He's got his own Super Bowl ring of the arena football. So we'll talk more about RC in a minute. Let's go back to the show. RC, why don't you bring us back in with our guest? Monty Fisher has a question.
Oh, thank you for hearing me. Yeah, it caught my ear when you were telling about your life that you were a dialogue coach, or was it a dialect coach? That you heard when a dialect or dialogue wasn't off or wasn't consistent. So you must have a good ear for that stuff, right?
So,
Now, was that this is like American dialogue? Sounds like you're from my ear tells me you're from the East Coast. Am I correct?
you are indeed. I'm from New Jersey originally.
Okay.
What exit?
So, what is that? Do you
Sure.
think that job of dialogue coach, of dialect coach, of catching dialogues that aren't consistent, is that going to be taken over by AI as well?
Well, it could, but the problem with it is you have to be on the set and you have to be listening. Then you'd have to feed it into AI, and AI would have to analyze it and spit it back out and give you a line reading, which you don't want to do for actors. I guess anything's possible. Now, just to be clear, that was one time I was a dialogue director. After that, I didn't do it again. I went into other phases of the entertainment business.
Now, John, that brings up an interesting point. And thank you for that, Monty, because looping is an expensive venture where you have to bring the actor back to redo their voice. But if you have that captured, I can't see that a problem with AI and adjusting your mouth to like make the words right. That could be an AI saving, something that goes to the wayside. Looping again.
Well, let's look at there's two elements to what you just said. If it's a matter of syncing, okay, I would agree with that because the actor coming in isn't going to be syncing it. He or she's going to try to redo it. Unless there was something wrong with the performance, there's no reason to. I get that. But if they start taking words and adding new dialogue, that's a violation. And you should bring in the actor who did it and let them do it and earn that money because why is it their fault if you didn't come up with it as the writer or the director or the producer? If you decided, well, I want them to say pink flowers live forever and it wasn't in there and you want to just kind of slug it in, that's your fault, not the actors. So they should be paid for that job.
However, historically, they brought in, voice actors that can imitate a voice, especially when somebody's say not available. Let's say Mel Gibson's in Hawaii, and they bring in a guy who does a Mel Gibson voice and loops it for him. So it's not unheard of. It's going to be a controversy, sure.
Absolutely. I don't think it's unheard of, but I have a feeling it's in the contract that if something like that happens, that they're compensated.
Exactly. Let's go to Natalie. Natalie has a question for us. Real quick, I want to introduce Natalie. Natalie is new to the life. Well, we have all sorts of companies she's involved in. She's doing the South by Southwest event. We're doing a launch for Lightstone, SLS, and then with RC's got the Hollywood Minute and all sorts of stuff. So she's overseeing that, and she's also has her own podcast with her aunt, Marcia Gay Harden, who most of us know. And so we're honored to have her as part of our company here. So welcome, Natalie.
Thank you.
Hi, Natalie.
Hey, everybody. John, I do. Thank you so much for being here. I'm looking at your filmography and I'm so impressed by all the works that you were a part of that were so pivotal to my childhood, like Dennis the Menace, even Glengarry Glen Ross, I was obsessed with as a kid, and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And my question for you is, at what point in your career, it seems like you became really selective about the projects you worked on. And I'm also, so at what point in your career did you start getting selective with the projects? Because in my experience, you have to start somewhere and then you can get more selective. And I wonder if that has been your experience. And then the other question I have is so many of your credits say co-director. So I wanted to hear about your experience with collaboration and how you got into co-directing so many projects.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack. Well, let's deal with the co-directing because it's fresh in my head.
Great.
The co-directing worked for us because the gentleman who was the co-director was a very talented graphic artist who understood framing and stuff. And I was really good with working with the talent and getting them to meet their mark where it would make sense for the project. So that was a good collaboration. I know there are brothers out there that work together, and probably one of them's dealing with the camera and the other's dealing with the the uh, the actors. So it was a good symbiotic relationship on that. Um, as far as selection, I've had a lot of podcasts where kids have asked, well, should I specialize in one area? And I say, that's signing a death warrant. And I said, what do you mean? I said, the reason I stayed busy and made money and managed to have a good career was I didn't pigeonhole. I did commercials, I did documentaries, I did music videos, I did anything that came away that I could find an opportunity to become part of. Friends in the business that I grew up with in the business would share, here's a contact, you should go chase this one. And I would also pass it to them. So we had a really tight knit group of friends that would help each other get jobs. So I think what happened is that you would get a couple of calls to do a job, one here, one there. And you'd look at it and you'd say, which one's going to advance my career? And you might want to go for this one over here, but they weren't ready to book you. Where this one's ready to book you. So I always took whoever booked me because the one over here isn't going to make me money if it falls apart. This one's going to make me money and advance my career. Um, so I started that kind of mindset, and then it started working out that I found that some of the lesser jobs were falling by the wayside, and I would pick up all the bigger jobs, which meant I was on set a lot longer and on the project a lot longer.
Great
That's
question.
amazing.
Thank you. Let's go to Lou. Lou, you have your hand up?
Thanks, Natalie.
Yeah.
I do. I do. Thanks, John. Thanks for your story, man.
Well,
A couple comments first before I ask my question. You guys were doing the Hollywood Minute, and as far as entertainment goes, the big thing going on in Chicago, if you guys are not aware, it may not be the Chicago Bears anymore. It might be the Indiana Bears. There's things going on, Northwest Indiana.
Lou, if you want a sports segment, you can have it. I'm serious.
Hey.
Sports headlines. We'll give RC everything else, but
That's how Jimmy Kimmel started.
There
Jimmy
we
the
go.
sports guy on the Adam Carolla show. That's how he got his start.
I'll build a skin for you, and you create your own headline next week. And I'm not joking. If you want to do it, let's do it.
I'm not joking either, man. At 2 a.m., I'm betting on Russian hockey. So
All right, so you're gonna have a skin by next week. Practice your show. We got a new show at the Hollywood Review.
Right. Aside from that, I just wanted to say, RC, if you could drop your Master Cleanse Facebook thing in the chat. I couldn't find it the other day. Wife and I are interested in that.
You
page.
can't find it. You have to be my friend, and there's a private group because I don't want to put anybody out that they're going through it. It's a personal thing to go through. But if you're in the group, then you've done it. So too bad. So you'll have to add me as a friend, and then just put Hollywood Review on there, and I'll make sure I add you. Pound a day club.
New friend, Lou. Did you have a question for John Callis?
Yeah. You mentioned going to Russia on location, filming a documentary in Russia about the Cold War. That immediately pinged me, like going to our enemy and filming on location there. What was that like? Were you accepted? Was it difficult? Were they eager to share their side of the story?
Well, I'm going to correct you. I didn't go to our enemy. At the time I went, the wall was coming down and the infrastructure of Russia was falling apart. I came in on a political docket where I was one of the only Westerners that ever got to go into the vault and was handed Stalin's communist card. So they were very open to me seeing things. It turned out our taxi driver was a KGB agent. But yeah, that was a weird one. But I took a picture with him. He was very uncomfortable with that one, but I took it anyway. And I found the people very loving. there was no, oh, you're American. That they would try to speak English so that they could practice. I found them very proud people. I took a train from Moscow to St. Petersburg, and we had our translator with us. And okay, so there was some vodka and caviar involved in the train, right? And this Russian comes walking in, and he slams a bottle of vodka down on the table. He goes, "You Americans." And we said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "We drink." I said, "Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm already drunk. I can't drink anymore." And the translator says to him, "Yeah, they're very nice people. Goodbye." And she says, "I'm going to bed." And she leaves us with this guy. And he's pouring a shot after shot, we having to drink. He starts crying and he's hugging us, says, "I love Americans. I love Americans." Okay, go to bed. You're tired. Really? Please, can I go? And that's the kind of people we met. And it was nothing about it. The documentary was to disprove that Ronald Reagan was the killer of the empire. In fact, they all admitted, and I met Khrushchev, who he'd rather take your heart out than say good morning. I met all these top people, and they all admitted, they said, look, Reagan had nothing to do with it. Our infrastructure was falling apart. It was gone. And he just took a historic moment and capitalized on it. And that's what the documentary was about.
We're going to go to a commercial break.
The Hollywood Review. The Hollywood Review.
All right, we're out. We're clear. There's George Burns. That's a little dated picture. I mean, what was it like to work with George Burns off camera? But oh my God.
More importantly, where did that hair come? I really miss it. George was a very interesting man. I brought the book to Gracie with love, and he signed it for me. And I asked him a few questions, and he was extremely funny. And I can't really repeat it because it's a very dirty-minded mouth that this man had. And but he was just wonderful. I mean, the first minute I got on set, he asked to see me, and he says, "Okay, so what do you want me to do?" And I looked at him and said, "George, you're an icon. You're like somebody I grew up with. There's nothing I can ask you to do. This is about your personality. Just be George Burns." He goes, smoking. He goes, "I think I can do that." I said, "I bet you can." And we went off and did the commercial. He was wonderful.
I love it. We're coming back from commercial break in 5, 4, 3.
That's not me.
I've been running hard, feet on fire, dreams and duty tangled in wire. But when my strength starts slipping away, I still hear your voice say,
all right, we're back to the Hollywood Review. This is the new improved Hollywood Review with R.C. Everbeck and Tony Boley. Our guest today is John Callis. Hey, John, you having fun?
I'm having a ball. Hey, can I just say to all of your guests, if any of you want to reach out, you can find me on johncallis.com, or you can send me an email, johncallisofficial@gmail.com. I'd love to connect and say hi and keep the conversation going.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for being here. RC, any questions while we're waiting for our guests to raise their hands?
I do. So you did Lone Wolf, okay?
I did.
You were the flat out director on it. And you wrote it too, right? Is that?
No, I rewrote it.
You rewrote
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us how that experience was. Lone Wolf, yeah.
Well, it was interesting because I got to shoot it in Denver, in the mountains. And my director of photography, who happens to be listening to this, David Lewis, and I paired up. And the whole film was about $100,000, including post. And we had no money for any kind of effects and all that. And I said to David, "What are we going to do?" He goes, "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to notch the film. We're going to shoot whatever you scene you want. We're going to get in the bag and rewind it, find the notch, reset it, and I'll expose it in a way where we can do all of the effects live inside the camera." Now, when I sent it to the lab guy called and said, "You've got to be shitting me. You did this in camera?" I said, "Well, it wasn't me, it was the DP, but yeah, it was all done in camera." Why? Because it's not done like this anymore. You did stuff that's incredibly difficult, and it came out really well. So one night, we're in the mountains, and David said, "All right, so what do you want?" And I said, "Well, I want to see these shafts of light coming this way, and I want to see this, and I want to see that. And he puts his arm around me, he says, take a walk. So I took a walk. I said, yeah. He goes, you know all that stuff you just described you want to see? I said, yeah. He goes, brilliant. It's wonderful. I said, okay. Problem? He goes, I have three lights and one burned out. What do you want to do? I said, I don't want that. I told him. And he lit the scene. It looked great. You make do with what you got.
DPs are amazing. I worked with Alan Davio, who's Steven Spielberg's DP for quite a few things like Falcon and the Snowman and E.T. And we're on set, and it was a night shoot, and he would pick out this way up there on that light post. Right, what is that? And we'd have to scramble and do all these things and climb up there hours. Like he was the bottleneck. But when a DP's on point, that stuff just looks beautiful.
Sounds good.
That's why you have them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a mind that you don't.
Exactly. I would like to ask Ken a question about some technology. You don't have to share what it does or how it works, but just a little sample of how we can actually put the ingredients on the product so that if there is an issue, you have a provenance. I don't know how much you can share, but if you can share anything just to let people know that we're responsible AI creators.
Well, yeah, that's a big question. Wouldn't we want to ask John something first while we still have him in the spotlight? I can do
Well,
that.
we got another hour with him. We got plenty of time for John. I'm just trying to talk
All
about
right.
current filmmaking, old school versus today. And so I think that's
Yeah.
pretty. You don't have to go into the proprietary stuff, but just a little why you created something like this. I don't know.
Well, all right, I'll do that. I did have a question for John first, though, if you don't mind.
Perfect.
Yeah. How you doing, John?
And how are you?
Doing great. Yeah, so I think the one thing that I think is most remarkable about you and your career is its longevity, right? Because I'm compared to you, I'm really new to this arena. And the one thing I'm learning is that longevity is probably the most elusive of all of the attributes for anyone in film per se, because film is hard to define all by itself. But do you have any way you can describe what you attribute your longevity in the industry to, and maybe just a little hint or tip for people who are new to the biz?
Absolutely. When I first started getting into the business, I felt like a complete failure because I couldn't get the jobs I wanted and everything. And one night, in the middle of the night, I woke up and said, wait a minute, I'm starting at the bottom. I'm looking for bottom feeding. I should be working for the big guys. Somebody's got to work for them. Why shouldn't it be me? And so I started developing a mindset of that and not taking no for an answer. I mean, one company said no three times, and they finally said, all right, you're being a pain in the ass. Come in, I want to talk to you. So I also got creative. A lot of people were sending around their resumes cut up like dolls in different colors. I went to Chinatown and had fortune cookies about this big made. And I stuffed my resume inside with a note that said, Fortune, you know, hire John Callis, your toes fall off. And I was getting calls from that. So you have to be a little creative in it. And the longevity is I just refuse to go down. I got knocked down 99 times. I get up 100. I'm still winning. And I think you have to have a special backbone and a thick skin. And, you know, sometimes you get to the point where you said, I've had enough and you leave the industry. I just don't know what I'd do without it. So I just keep at it.
Right.
Mm. I think that pretty much applies to everyone who really wants to accomplish something is they just never give up. And that's
Exactly.
kind of the theme for our show. So appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess the question's over to me. And Tony's asking about a product that we're working on right now. And Tony, we haven't quite filed the patent yet for it. So, and this is a public forum, so
Yeah.
I'm afraid I can't quite answer the question right now.
All right, plead the fifth.
All right.
Just know we're working on some pretty cool stuff. If Steven was here, we could talk about automated line production stuff. When you change the script, the budget changed. We can talk about that. We can talk about some cool stuff about product placement. When you point at the screen and you touch it, it will be delivered to your front door the next morning if it's food, within probably a half hour with Grubhub. So we have a lot of animated and automated technology that's coming through Shredded Lens. I just want you guys to keep your ear open that we're right at the cutting edge of the new Hollywood. So just be very aware that we've got some cool stuff. Keep coming back every week. That way you guys can figure out what we're doing. I do want to do a quick announcement of what we're doing in the future. We'll get back to the questions. This is South by Southwest. This is what Natalie is working on. I hope you guys can see this with all these tabs open, but Time is our #1 sponsor right now. We're very, very excited. Natalie is working on that with Damien with Lightstone and Vance, Space Gen, and the Ranger, and of course Ken with SLS. And then we have the different Army divisions here that we're working with for the Ranger and Space Gen. And then we've got all of our brands and sponsors and alignment partners and just everybody. We're so excited. If you guys want to be part of this, you can. Just give me a call tomorrow and we'll get your logo and brand on here. We'll tell you how you can join us and participate at South by Southwest here in Austin, Texas. So these are not for you. These are for our big investors. And if you want to give me this money, you can. But this is the type of money that we're drawing in every day. This is where we were going to be. I think we're going to move to another venue. We'll see. But this is beautiful Austin, Texas. South by Southwest, we're teaming up with a music performance, our DJ Dave Guy. At Wonderlust, we have 3 different venues we're going to have parties at over the event. The awesome 360 Bridge here in South by Southwest. Our limousine company is provided by Horizon. This is one of our sponsors. This is Jesse from The Voice, very famous, successful singer that now is creating a show called Driven to Sing, a reality show in the back of a limousine created by Ken. This is the house we're staying at. 25 to 30 of us will be staying together in a wedding suite here with multiple rooms like you would see at any other wedding resort. Very, very cool. And again, you can check out this pitch deck later. So last but not least, Ken has created some wonderful merch for Shredded Lens. We're raising funds to go to South by Southwest. This is our cookie drive. This is our Boy Scout, Girl Scout little, if you guys want any of these products, we will have them made and shipped to you, one of a kinds. These are creations by our designer, Ken Greenwood. It's our bold merch product line. So check that out at shreddedlens.com. That was a sponsor announcement. And back to our regularly programmed show. RC, take it away.
Okay. I'm a big fan of The Hills Have Eyes. I got to admit, I'm a horror guy. And here's my Boston accent right there. I'm a horror guy. Yeah, I'm into horror. So Hills Have Eyes 2. Anything you want to tell about that, we're all ears. So, John Callis, take it away.
Well, when I was introduced to Wes Craven, I was pretty excited to work with the guy. And it was very easy. I mean, we went through the script line by line. He told me what he wanted to do. And we got out there, and the conditions were really brutal because we were in cold weather. There wasn't any facility where we could go warm up. And, low budget movies tend to have that stigma to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of got excited because even though it's kind of funny, he said, John, I need you to go do some second unit directing for me. I said, Wes, yeah, I'd love to. What do you want me to do? He goes, well, in this film, as you know, the dog has a flashback. So I need you to push in on the dog having that flashback. I said, you want me to direct a dog having a flashback? He said, yeah. Is that a problem? I said, oh, no, not at all. So off I went with the dog.
So which was colder, Lone Wolf or Hills Have Eyes 2? Which was more miserable?
More miserable?
Like only for atmosphere, like, for the environment.
Well, I would say Hills Have Eyes because as the director, you're so pumped up and you're excited. You don't care if it's 40 below zero. You still want to work.
Yeah.
Hills Have Eyes. I was a lot of hats. I was the unit production manager. I was the first AD and second unit director as well. There was a funny incident, and God bless Wes for it. He had in there, we're going to zoom in, and then later on it says, and the camera moves out. And I'm sitting in the conference room with the whole crew for this reading, and Wes wasn't in there, and they said, John, I said, yeah. I said, what the hell's a moves out? I said, I saw it too, and I don't have a clue. So Wes came in and we're all talking, and I said, hey, Wes, we have a question. He said, what's up? I said, we understood the zoom in thing, but what's the moves? He goes, I thought you guys knew everything. You moves out, you pull, the camera comes back, you're moving out. And everyone's biting their tongue so they wouldn't start laughing. So even somebody that skillful had a bonehead kind of concept about moving out.
That's the effect where sort of the hallway stretches and that sort of thing, isn't that?
No, that's more
you're
of a
pushing
Hitchcock
forward
thing.
and heading the other direction.
No, this was strictly like I'm on URC and I just pull back.
Oh, it's moving. Oh, yeah. Moving. Yeah. Yeah. You moves out. Right. Right. No. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But we had a lot of fun. We got in the food fight with Les in the cafeteria. Place turned into the animal house, and yeah, it was fun.
I'm a zit. Get it?
I'm a zit, exactly.
Tony, wants to take some questions? I can keep going.
Yeah, let's take some questions. I'm just prepping the next section, so let's take some questions from who has not asked a question. Jay, why don't you ask a question and we'll go to the next section.
Hi.
Hey.
Question. What is the most surprising call that you've taken for a new project when you were in one of your slow periods doing odd jobs?
Nah.
Say that again. I just want to make sure I understand the question.
When you were in those slow periods before you were completely on track for having to choose between different work, what's one of the most surprising calls that you've gotten that took you out of those side jobs into something really exciting?
I think it might have been MTV when because it was just starting up and they called me to come in and do the Go-Go's upfeed on a satellite. And that was really exciting as hell. Now, the producer for MTV came to me with a box of MTV T-shirts, and he said, "Here, you can give these out to the crew." And he turned around to my assistant and said, "What do you think?" I said, "These things are ugly." And I threw them in the trunk and closed it. I wish I still had them. It'd be worth a fortune. But it was pretty exciting to become part of a new part of the industry, something new that was exciting, and it was all like money was there to be done properly, and it kind of made me happy.
I'm going to try something here to see if this works. Can you guys see the screenshot?
Yep.
All right. Anybody recognize John? Anybody recognize who John's with?
Yep.
I'm the guy in the hat, just so everyone knows.
Name that actor. Anybody?
Jack.
Jack. Good old Jack. Can you guys see this next one? Name that actor with John.
George
Andy Warhol.
Birds. Name that actor with John.
Howie Mandel.
Howie Mandel. Name that actor with John.
I can't see that. Is that Gary Shandling?
End of the World, Part 1. Who is this guy?
Oh, Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks. And look at Mel Brooks being Mel Brooks. Name that actor, or who's that? John, what is that thing? Is that a camera?
That was what we used to use. That's a 35mm camera.
Wow. Name that actor with John.
Wow,
Mel.
And last but not least, anybody remember this commercial? Fuji Electrocell, alkaline battery. And does anybody recognize that guy with Tony Boldy? This is the
it's old, young RC.
It's the old Hollywood Review. Let's go to commercial. Let's watch a little sample.
We're in the field here. We're with RC Everbeck. You were just on our show yesterday, and now we're going to your live screening. So how do you feel, sir?
I feel great. You go to some screenings and they're like.
All right, we'll come back from commercial break, and that's just a little teaser. All right, guys, we're out. We're clear. We're going to go to the last section here. John, any questions? RC, Ken, any tightening up? Obviously, we'll get in post and just tweak the crap out of all this, but you guys are great. Appreciate you. We've got another 30 minutes of some cool stuff that we're going to show you, but any comments? Feel free. Hey, look who else is here. Hi, how are you? Are you in Hollywood or New York? We'll get her mic off. We're off camera right now. It's okay. We're not recording. We are recording, but we're not for the show. John, how you feeling? Going good?
Great.
Anybody?
The question. I think the questions are really good. I have to say.
Yeah, we got a good group. Anybody have to go to the bathroom?
Did you get a chance to work with Belinda Carlisle? I did Runaway Horses, her music video for that. So we got to hang out all day. I casting director for that. Did you just find her just so enchanting?
You can't help but falling in love with her. I mean, she's that sweet.
Yeah. She's just a sweetheart. What about Mel Gibson? He and I have had some encounters. He's a riot. He's told some stories I could tell, and it would take a while, but they're just hysterical. He definitely he's been through it, but Man, what a great guy. What storyteller, huh?
Yeah, yeah, he was very easy to work with on the set. We did the Ransom trailer for them.
All right, Carol's going to be our next guest.
Yeah.
Question. We're going to come back from the commercial break. Here we come in 5, 4, 3. All right, we're back for the Hollywood Review Live. This is the new edition with Tony Voldy and R.C. Everbeck. How you doing, R.C.? You having fun?
Fantastic. Yes, I am having fun. Real good time.
Oh, great guests, great questions, great sections. We got a whole new section with Lou started up next week. We're going to have the sports section. We're not sure what we're going to call it. But you guys, if you have an idea for a show you want to bring to the Hollywood Review, let us know. Do it within 5 minutes or less, and we'll give you that time slot. If you're a sponsor, or if you have a brand, or if you want to do an announcement, please do it on our show. We'll edit it into the clip if it works. And really excited. Ken, thank you so much for running the show in the back there in the control room, and any of you guys in the green room. You guys ready to get back to the show? All right, here we go. Carol, you have a question for our guest.
John, have you sat in on any or many casting sessions? And if so, what do you look for in an actor?
I've sat on quite a few casting sessions, and I'll tell you what I look for is, let's say there's a scene where an actor is angry, and you have 30 people in the casting hallway waiting to come in. About the 25th one, you want to start screaming because everyone comes in screaming and brings nothing to the scene. You know, it's like, I'm angry, so I gotta scream. And then all of a sudden somebody walks in and they go, you're cast. Take it, you got the part. Because I'm looking for somebody to take the normal, the expected, and turn it into something very creative and held back. And that's a skill set that actors have to work on. And when I see it, I know that they can be directed, and that's what I look for.
I call it an Al Pacino smolder. But that's good. Thank you.
John, so along those lines, though, when you're looking at that kind of stuff, I think what's really catching your eye is the realism of it. Like, people don't just burst through a door screaming unless it has been prompted by something. And when people are taking it real, and you then would direct them, no, actually, this is mid-scene, go for it. You know, sure, but to the realism, that's what strikes Carol. I mean, for me as a cat with the casting experience I have, but I think, maybe you can speak to that, John, like it's just the left brain realism. Is that real versus is that crazy, your interpretation of art and artistic interpretation?
Sure.
Well, if they ask me, what I want to see in the character, the first thing I say is I'd like to see what you're bringing first before I tell you what I'm thinking, because I don't want to send you in a path that you had another idea that might be better.
Sure.
Then once we get that established, then I say, do you mind if we try a few things? And of course, they're more than willing to. So I take the actor completely away from the intent of the scene just to see how they're going to respond to it. And if they can respond and make me believe it, then I know I have somebody that on the set's not going to freeze. They're going to be able to bring something. And when the lights go on, as an actor, when the lights go on and there's a crew around, it's a whole different environment. And you got to know that they can carry that weight because it's a heavy weight on them. And I want them to feel safe. So I like to play with them a little bit and I say, do you want to try something? 9 times out of 10, I say, yeah, I'd like to try something kind of off the walls. Do it. And they come up with something really wacky, but I love the fact that they took a chance and did something different.
Right.
It sounds fun. Yeah.
It is fun. When you get a talented actor in there, it's a lot of fun.
John, there's been occasions where, and let's just use your example, and this isn't a real example, but the angry. And I would it's between two people, and I really want to see who has the goods. So I would say something to the effect of, all right, now do it smiling, like happy and laughing, but I need to see the anger under it. Go. And then that's like a whole, whoa. And if they pull it, you're just like, yeah, this guy can do anything, or girl,
Yeah. Yeah, we're on the same page with that one.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Tony.
Right. Well, any other questions before we go into our next section? Any questions, last minute comments? John, you want to share anything to kind of wrap up the formality of the question and answer section, and then we'll go into the next piece.
I guess the only thing I would want to share is if you've got the film industry in your blood, regardless of what it is, makeup artist, director, writer, producer. Believe in yourself. And at times it's not easy. At times you just want to say, screw it, I can't do this. That's the time you have to show strength in yourself and say, I got to keep going because this is what I want to do. And you have to network a lot. You have to talk to people. I'm on the phone dialing for dollars every day. I try to keep in touch with past colleagues just to say hi. I worked in a post-production house for a while. I was the vice president of the Walt Disney account, and I got really close to some of the senior people up there. And to this day, I'm still in touch with one that no longer works at Disney, but we go out to have lunch. She shared some contacts with me. She's pushed me in certain directions. She's read all my books, and it's been a wonderful experience because of allowing myself to not give up. And there were times I wanted to because it was really tough, and I didn't like eating crackers with ketchup as my dinner. And so you just have to do what you have to do, but you just can't give up on yourself.
Sounds good.
Tony, before we leave out of this, we have a question from the chat box, somebody that can't actually put their camera on. And it says, John, what are your thoughts on internet actors?
It's your brother. Let's
Hey,
be honest.
nepotism's awesome, bro. John, what are your thoughts on internet actors? Specifically, will it elevate to having Oscars, Tonys with categories such as live stream, YouTube, documentaries, etc.?
I'm not sure I understand. Are
The
you
question
saying
is, do you see where the internet's going with the YouTubers, with the streamers? Do you see them elevated the same way that, like, say, rap when it entered the music world? It was, what's rap? Like, how does that count? Now there are, Grammys for that. Do you see YouTube and internet actors elevating to the point where there is awards for, self-created YouTube things and along those lines?
I think it's always going to be like that. And YouTube started out just like everyone posts whatever you want. Now it's got TV and everything else. And it's become a formidable thing. Netflix, if you may remember, if you're old enough like I am, you would get these discs in the mail. They would mail them to you.
Yep. I love them.
Now,
Screeners.
now it's streaming. I mean, it's a world that's constantly changing, and the more the technology becomes available, the more the younger people that come up living the technology, not having to learn it, will be able to be creative people in building, foundations for their futures. So I think yes.
All right. Well, we're ready for the next section. Everybody put your hands together for our guest, John Callis. Thank you so much for being here. You're a part of this next section, by the way. This next section is brought to you by Vance. We're called the Hollywood Review. Do we actually review movies? Why, Vance? Yes, we do. Vance, which movie would you like to review?
Actually, I just recently saw Ong made by Markiplier, which was an incredible movie, which was self-financed, but he created a stage for the spacecraft that he was in the movie that was actually movable, and he kept doing different things with it. For a self-financed movie from a YouTuber, incredible movie. Give it a watch. I think everybody's gonna like it because
what's the name of it?
It's called Iron Lung. It's based on an old graphic novel series, from my understanding. I didn't know the graphic novel series, but my son Lancaster did. Said it kept to the lore, which is a lot of these movies do not. But what Markiplier did in this, doing a self-finance, keeping to the credit, awesome. Fantastic movie. I think you should watch it.
I haven't seen it, but it's getting a lot of press. It's getting a lot of press.
So, Lou, you have a movie that you guys made. Would you mind putting the trailer with the subtitles, the new one, in the chat? I would love to share that and talk about your movie. And we're going to review not just Hollywood movies, but our movies. So if you guys have a movie you made, John, if you had a movie you made, Vance, if you had a movie any of you have produced, please bring it to the Hollywood Review and let us review it and actually get you some press out there, free press, okay?
We're having movie night.
We're going to put it in the chat. We're going to watch the trailer, and we're going to talk about that as soon as we come back from this commercial break. This is a video that Ken did. It's a very big brand out here called HEB. Now, this is not the AI version, Ken. I couldn't find the AI version, but I made the song, and we produced, and Ken did some edits, and this is just a fun little piece that we do. So we can do some sponsorship brands, etc. But this is one of our sponsors, HEB. Here we go.
HEB, HEB, we love you too. You love the way we stuck up for you. Singing and dancing that HEB way. people and we do things your way. Rub it up, power scrub, cleaning all through the night. Keeping the floors nice and shiny and bright. Stacking up high and we're stacking down low. There we roll.
All right, we're clear. Let me turn this off. We're on break. And I'll find out how to do that. No key. Good thing we're on break.
Ice cream for all. Stuck full and fresh to our shoppers beck and call. Freshly baked breads and some donuts too. Tasty sweets for our customers and you. At a time, lay it flat and give the rock a quick spin. Sweet treats are always.
All right, we're clear, guys. We're on break. We're going to come back with another. We're going to watch the trailer from Lou, and then we're going to talk about all of us as film producers and how we can help each other. This is the networking section where if you have money, if you have distribution, if you have products, if you have scripts, if all of us, how we can help each other. This is the section that I really look forward to, where we help each other make movies. And John Duffy, please contribute. So
I could use a contribution, John Duffy.
Yeah,
Just saying.
so it's in the
Is
chat.
there financial you're talking?
On me someplace.
Do you want me to drop it in the chat or do you want me to screen share? We have a teaser that we just released for the, you're talking about the Club de Gritos, right?
Yes.
The Screen Club movie?
Yes,
Okay.
but you sent me one that had English subtitles.
Yeah, that's the whole trailer. We just dropped a teaser for it as we started our marketing campaign because we have the theatrical release coming in April.
Yeah, so play the trailer. If you can play it on your screen, that's fine. I don't know how you do that, but if you can do it, just make sure when it's done, take your screen share off, and then we're going to talk about it.
All right.
All right, we're going to come back, guys. So tell me when you're ready.
All right.
You ready?
Not yet. Give me a second to find that trailer. I can put up the teaser right now on a screen share, though.
A teaser? Is it video?
It's a short video. It's our Instagram teaser that we have. So it's not the full trailer, but it's a quick one.
All right, let's do that one. Let's do that one.
All right.
Tell me where that is.
Hold on. I'm going to screen share it.
You guys should be used to me just throwing curveballs all the time.
Yep.
That's what I do. Rodney, how are you? You driving?
All right, you good?
Don't play. Not yet. All right, Rodney, we'll come back to you. All right, guys, here we go. We're going to come back from the commercial break. I'll tell you when to play it. Just a sec. And when I say 5, 4, and 3, I won't say 2 or 1, but when you assume 1, I want you to hit it, okay?
Okay.
All right, we're back from break, guys. Quiet on the set. Here we go. In 5, 4, 3. Let's go back to 1. Reset. Reset. I'm doing first AD work, aren't I, John? Here we go.
You're doing great.
Here we go. Ready? In 5, 4, 3.
Muy bien, no creo que prenda. Probamos. Hay que probar al menos.
All right, we're back with the Hollywood Review. RC Everbeck, how are you, sir? We're almost done with the show here. Has it been fun to get back on set? Let's pull that down. So, RC, this is the next section where we talk about movies that we've created inside of the SLS ecosystem, which means we're all film producers of some sort. So we're going to ask our guest. Lou was just showing a teaser trailer. We'll put that in the chat once he gets the full trailer. You guys can watch it on your own time. He will put the link in the chat room. But RC, let's talk a little bit about your movie, Lie Detector. I showed it when we went to commercial break. What was that? I know you climbed mountains. I know you hurt yourself. But let's talk about making movies. Let's go there.
Lie Detector was my first starring role, and it was for me it was a really big thing. It was 208 scenes. I was 180 something of them. I had to learn to rock climb for it. I remember 3/4 of the way through the movie, there was one day and I was on set and I'm like, excuse me, everyone listen for a second, please. I wasn't hurt today. And it was a real thing. I mean, I got hurt so much. I was doing all my own stunts and getting hit by cars and stuff. But it's an FBI pick, sort of as a buddy pick and a superhero arc and a family movie to it. They're doing a redo to 4K, so that they can have a release on that. But it was really fun. And then Tony we brought the Hollywood Review to the screening that was over at Reicher Studios, which has since been sold, I think. It was really fun. And one thing that as Tony's bringing the films of, this community to this screen, to this forum, it reminds me that, Tony showed up at my thing. He showed up, we're pals, and we had also gone to lots of other people's things, Casper Van Diem's, and we've been to, you know, Jaime Gomez's stuff, and we would just go because it was part of our little group. And I'm finding that, even though we're separated, me being in Los Angeles and Tony in Austin and Ken wherever Ken is, and all of you, it's really great that we can have this Zoom and this forum where we can meet and collaborate and talk about things. And like Tony said, bring your IP, bring your funding, bring your, things that are interesting to you to the group, and so that collectively we can help either, solve a problem, and hopefully it's, when I say problem, I mean something you need a solution to or a partner in, and that can be done here. We had it on the last show that before this one, back when we were doing it in LA, but nothing's different. This is, a fantastic place to meet up and do these things.
So we are doing a bunch of things within our community. We're having the Astraeus Awards, which is our award show with our our bot Astraeus. We're doing the Hollywood Review Movie Night presented by Shredded Lens with Larry Layfield. This is his movie Killing Mary Sue. So you guys, we're thinking maybe the 28th at noon Pacific time, which would be, do your math, 1, 2, 3 hours later. And then RC and I are going to host that. We're going to talk to the filmmakers after we watch the movie together. So it's about an hour and a half movie. And then the last half hour, RC and I are going to take questions just like we're doing here. But we're going to watch a movie and we're going to talk about what we liked and didn't like. And the filmmakers will be there. The first one just happens to be Larry Layfield's movie. He's doing great out there. But again, I would love to promote your pieces, your work, and I'd love to help you get distribution if you don't have it. So please come to the Hollywood Review for that exposure, okay? So that's just a little quick section that we're going to add to the Hollywood Review.
Let me comment on that real quick, Tony. So you said things we liked and didn't like, and I feel that should Larry say, I would like honest opinions and reviews and cards because he's still in the review or edit process, then yes. And if it's a completed project, don't be afraid to bring your stuff in. But you can say, I'd like real feedback so I can take it further, as a peer group, to give it a review. But if it's a completed project, just let us know what you liked about it. It's if it's done, if it's out. Does that make sense, Tony?
100. This is called the Hollywood Review. We're going to review. That's the name of the show.
Okay, so are you Siskel or are you Ebert? Because
I don't know. That's Vance. It's Vance's section.
Yeah. Okay.
By the way, Vance, I think is going to be the announcer next week, aren't you, Vance?
Absolutely.
I would not like to introduce myself next week. If you could please do that, that would be wonderful. You're the Shadow Stevens of the show, my friend.
Oh, there you go.
He's willing to do it, though. Stiff competition. But he'll do it in the recorded versions if you don't kill it, which you'll kill it. So Vance is our new voiceover announcer. So that's how it works. We just pull from the community and hire you there. Natalie is our producer. Natalie's got her own podcast. Natalie, why don't you talk about your podcast and what products you're bringing to Shred to the South by Southwest? I'm talking about the Snorries, your water. This is a good time to share your brand.
Great, thank you. Well, my aunt Marcia Gay Harden and I created Snorries, which is a children's mindful bedtime podcast. And we started it because we were hopeful that children weren't losing their imagination and we wanted to engage them beyond the screen. So we have mindful talk and grounding techniques, and we tell stories that you or I grew up with, like Three Little Pigs or Little Bo Peep, but we also tell stories from around the world, and those are told by women from those cultures. We just won Best Parenting Podcast from the Astra Awards.
Wow.
And that was very exciting. Little fun fact, I hadn't ever been nominated for an award, unlike Marcia, who's been nominated for 2 Oscars, and she's won a Tony, won an Oscar, been nominated for many Emmys. We're gonna get her that EGOT, but I was like, how do I react if they don't call our name? And she's like, they're not gonna call our name. I was like, okay. So they called our name, and we both sat there just still. And they had to say it 2 more times. Like, Marcia, why would you make me not believe they were going to call our name? So finally, we got up there and we accepted the award graciously, and it was a very fun experience.
And I don't know if you could, you probably can't see that. I'll try.
If you haven't heard of molecular hydrogen water, it is the greatest water in the world. It is natured after the blue zones of Okinawa, where naturally occurring hydrogen exists. For athletes, RC, for anybody of older age or having
Tony.
any ailments, molecular hydrogen water is the most wonderful water on the planet. I have a documentary I'd be happy to share with you. It's also won awards. I didn't make it, my friend did. And I would love to. I evangelize about this water because it's changed my life and it enabled me to get off all prescription medications. And I would love to share it with the world.
Yeah.
Natalie, it's interesting you brought up the blue zones because I wrote a screenplay that we're Tony's
Ageless.
invented. Ageless, yeah.
I thought of that.
Yeah.
But is it related to the blue zones?
It's totally about the genetics of the blue zones, and they're kidnapped and tortured to try to find out what makes them tick so that they can impregnate the women and sell the babies on the black market. It's very
Wow.
powerful stuff.
Wow.
These are some of our sponsors, Time Studios. This is our commercial section, by the way. Lightstone, which is Vance and Damien. Space Jet. Now RC, by the way. RC is now an official owner in some of the franchise of Lightstone products. So Space Jet, he's an owner of the Ranger. We're still working with SLS. So some of our brands. So RC, congratulations. And then the Army Lab. Tell us about the Army installations, Natalie. What are these three?
The Army Applications Laboratory and AFWorks are both, I guess you could call them affiliates of the actual military branches, but it's where the military meets technology, and it's where the greatest, latest and greatest technologies are coming through the military through these almost like startup incubators, but they're still affiliated with the government, and they kind of help get it in front of the eyes of the actual government, but they're the technology arms of the government, and they're based here in Austin, Texas.
All right, and I think we're probably going to a different venue instead of Capitol. Otherwise, we'd be promoting Capitol. But what's this other venue we're looking at, Natalie? We can give them a little.
It's called Q Branch, which is a venture capitalist firm. Have you ever seen 007?
Oh yeah.
The
Sure.
Q Branch is the guy that he passes off. I'm gonna totally butcher it, but he helps 007, and the owner of the venture capitalist firm is a real life Q Branch guy. So he would load up the, normal looking pickup trucks with all the weaponry.
Here's the guy with the exploding pen and
Yeah.
the
He is
watch
cute.
that has a laser.
He's cute. Yeah, exactly. Oh, thank you, Vance, the writer, of course. So he owns this venture capitalist, and he describes it as like, we don't only invest in dual use companies, we also invest in any company, but we help give you the tools to elevate and scale like Q did for 007.
What's Yes 3.0? Why don't you, this is your event, why don't you go through these last sponsors?
Sure. Yes 3.0 is Brandy Vale's company. It's a digital asset company and a media network. Epic Film Fund is James Burbage's film investing company. Nuco is a really cool brand that is able to track if any like PDF or file has been manipulated, and it helps the creator go back to where it was illegally manipulated and can reverse it. They have relationships with the DoD, and they've already been working with the government. InfoList, I'm sure everybody knows what that is. Hollywood.
It's an email messaging center where if you get in there, the world pretty much knows what you're doing, especially if you're in Hollywood. It's a very connected group of people you want to be part of, and they're part of us, so we're happy.
Yeah. Stories In is founded by Stephen O'Hearn. He came from Space Force, so he's really high up in the military, has a lot of government clearances. And now he's created a production company. Massive Studios is
he has the automation from line producers where the script changes,
Right.
the budget changes at real time. So it's really exciting. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Massive Studios, Tony also mentioned it earlier. It's the technology where you're watching and somebody's wearing your favorite shoes, and you point your phone toward it and it orders the shoes, and it shows up at your front door the next day, or depending on your level of subscription, in half an hour. Of course, we all know what the Hollywood Review is. G2C is actually my dad's company. It's an invention, dual use for the military and civilians for camping and recreation and for rescue. It's an inflatable cot and tent. AEB is all entertainment business here out of Austin, Texas, and it literally combines creators and networking and helps people learn how to survive in this business. Horizon is the car company with Jesse, you know, Snorri's, and then my water business is called Renew by Nat.
Right. And so that is our credit roll. It's not rolling, but it's our credits. It's our sponsors, but that will be edited into the show in a proper format. But we just wanted you guys to know who we're working with. And that's just the beginning. We're only a half a week in. Wait till we have 3 more weeks to go. Natalie is killing it. Let's put our hands together for Natalie as our newest addition to our show.
Natalie, your hydrogen slash alkaline water company is fantastic. And I actually have to make my own stuff. So here's my hydrogen water thing, and here's my alkaline. I mean, this is my world, and she's on it. You know, this technology and the things that water has to offer, and I cannot wait to get to Austin to try it out. In a few weeks. But it is it is cutting edge. It's a cellular game changer, and I really suggest if anybody takes just one thing health away from this show, it would be to look into her water company.
Oh, good testimonial and good. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for being part of our new group, and we're happy. So, John, it was such a pleasure to have you here again. Big round of applause for our guest today. Such a trooper. We asked 2 hours from these celebrities, and for them to give us that time, RC says it all the time. You can't get it back. It's the most valuable asset we have is time. We really appreciate it, John.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all the questions and engagement. I'm very honored to be here. I also dropped, for your sake, Tony, a link in the chat for the trailer for No Solicitors, in case anyone's wondering about coming over for dinner.
Well, let's watch that. We're still in the Hollywood Review section. So, RC, we're going to go to it's you and I. Let's see what we can do. This is the newest thing. It is in the chat. Let me pull up the chat. Here we go. I'm going to pull this bad boy up. There's this one. Where in the chat is it, John?
Roll up. There's a lot of chats here.
Oh, it's way up there. It was above Lou's.
There
it is.
I'm switching backgrounds, buddy, because here we go.
All right, the Hollywood
Minute.
All right, so let me get this loaded. Here it's loaded. Let me screen share it.
Remember, don't blame me for what the characters do. It's just.
All right, let's see if I have the right thing pulled up, John. We're going to skip that. Can you guys see the screen?
That's it.
All right, let me load large screen, hopefully.
On this quiet suburban street, there's a house unlike any other. And a family.
To us. Cheers.
Who'd love to have you for dinner.
I represent Sonic Realty. I noticed how beautiful your house is, and I was wondering if you'd consider selling it.
Why don't you join us for dinner and talk it over with my dad?
Okay, well done.
What is it they want from us? They farm out our kidneys, lungs, heart, anything they can sell on the black market.
It gets worse.
Meat's so tender, just falls right off the bone.
For God's sake, stop, please.
No God here.
I could stay here forever with your kindness.
I'll drink to that. You all saw the sign, but you chose to ignore the warning. What part of No Solicitors didn't you understand?
Eric Roberts, Beverly Randolph, Kim Poirier, and Felissa Rose.
I plan on making you lots of money.
I'm sure you will. You look very healthy.
And it was VMI. I actually was able to help John get that distribution deal. I'm very proud of that, John. So awesome, so awesome. When we cut this together, we'll actually cut the trailer, and it won't be this transition. So all the mistakes, we'll cut all that crap out. So again, we just want you guys to get the bulk of it. So RC, Hollywood Minute, go.
John Callis produces and directs a movie called No Solicitors. And if you like eating eyeballs, having your kidneys taken out, or violating the rules, this may be a film for you. It is not for the faint of heart. It is a gore piece. However, it is peppered with humor, and I think you'll like it. I give it a thumbs up.
Oh, and because I helped produce it and distribute it, double thumbs up. John Callis, you got 2 thumbs up. That's a green light to go watch your movie. Where can they get it?
Geez, anywhere and everywhere. You can get it on Amazon, Tubi, I guess anywhere. Just Google it.
That's a good answer. We wish we all could say that about our movies.
And for those of you watching or trying to figure out where to see this, just go ahead and Google, where can I see No Solicitors by John Callis?
There you go. And then please get in touch with me and we'll arrange for a night at the house here for ribs. And we'll see if we can handle it.
Final suggestion, don't take John Callis up on that invitation.
Yes, you've been watching the Hollywood Minute live with R.C. Everback. All right, guys, we're getting close to the end here. Any final comments, concerns, questions, anything you guys want to add to the show that can be cut in? Any sound bites, any promotions, any movies? This is where we get to cut this stuff in. So it's all free for all. RC,
yeah, I got a request. How about making No Solicitors instead of adults, all children?
Ooh.
And you just tapped on No Solicitors Part 2. It starts out with kids at a barbecue.
Oh my God.
Tony, you're a real good MC. You're great.
It's hard doing everything, but thank you. I'm DJing,
Really?
I'm switching.
I feel like I owe you for a mission here.
I'm pulling my hair out back here, but we can edit it. We can edit it. We can fix it in post. It's the first one, guys. Thank you for being here. It's our first attempt to try to do something on Zoom and hybrid. We're going to do this in person. If we sell the show, we'll actually do it in the soundstage in the right way. But I think this is a pre-visual. When we edit it, you'll see that could really garner some money and some following. And Vance, thank you for being my voiceover announcer tomorrow. And I really want, Ken had to take off. His dad's car broke down in the middle of the night. His dad's going to be 100 years old. Still drives, still changes oil, still climbs out the changes the gutters, cleans out the gutters at 100. So when his said, I'm stuck in the dark, Ken is, let's go take care of Pops. So that's where Ken went. So nobody's driving the machine here. it's on autopilot.
We got to find out what kind of water Ken's dad's drinking, man.
Exactly. You guys were awesome. We're going to wrap it up with a song. This is another version that I played with from AI for Hollywood Review. I'm not sure. Can you hear it? Ready? Can you hear it? Hear it? Credit rolls going. Credit rolls going. You guys can vision it.
I have a feeling
All right,
being
guys, you're watching the Hollywood Review. I'm Tony Foley. This is R.C. Everbeck. It's been a pleasure to do the first dress rehearsal with you guys at Shredded Lens Studios with our announcer, Vince. Should be doing this, not me. Practice for next week. Should we give it a shot? Go!
And we'll see you next week at the Hollywood Review.
Keep going. Just go. We'll cut what works, what doesn't. Put you on the spot.
Next week we'll have special guest Tony Boldy and
R.C. Everbeck with our special guest, John Kelly. All right, everybody.
This week.
That's
What's
the
next
wrap.
week?
We'll see you guys next week. Come back. Another great guest. We have Scott. What's Scott's last name?
Baio.
What?
Scott Baio.
That Baio?
No,
Yeah.
Scott Baio.
The actor? No.
No. Oh.
Let me turn this off. Scott from Dr. Martin. I don't know why I'm dropping his name, Natalie. You're on mute.
Holmes. Scott Holmes.
Scott Holmes, yes, Dr. Holmes. So Dr. Holmes from Dr. Martin's going to be here next week, guys. He is going to really blow us away with how he did brands and sponsorship. and some of the technology he's working on. This is off the record, but he is working with Quentin Tarantino and the writer of Pulp Fiction. He's working on some really cool stuff. This is not going to make the show, but Sharknado 7. This is not going to make the show. Day of the Dead. This is not going to make the show. Twilight. This is not going to make the dead. Boondock Saints 3. If you hear the names that are coming out, these are what's coming. This is what's coming up to Shredded Lens Studios. So we've got so much more to offer you guys. Just stick around, keep coming back, and share this with your friends. Go to our social media. Click like, subscribe. All the influencers say it, so why wouldn't I? Love you guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank
James.
you.
Love
Bye.
you, James.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
John.